Ate Dui Dembela. Give me the power, I beg of you.
And hit that fucking share button, people.
Sacus and de pare mort. Sacus of the moment in the mortal of Bosse. Atele forte forte Dembela.
Now let me ask you, how much do you think was a different language and how much is gibberish? Because some of it's French and some of it's Spanish, I've noticed.
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
I'm just saying, like, some of it's that Cajun voodoo and then he says andale.
Don't fuck with the Chuck! Just think, Chucky's gonna be a bro.
You know, I'm not sure if you're laughing so damn hard because you do a good job of it or if it's you're laughing.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to talk some shop? Boss in the box! Rocket shop with the 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 boss in the box!
In 1988, he startled us with a frightening vision. Then, he was destroyed and left for dead. Now...
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back. Come on!
You know, we haven't gotten a decent night's sleep since he got here.
Child's Play 2, rated R. Starts Friday, November 9th at theaters everywhere.
Oh my God, we have been joined by Chucky himself. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 131 of Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box. I am but one half of your horrified, handsome, heavyweight, humble co-host duo, The Lunchbox. That's one word, capital L, capital B. Thank you very much. And in addition to Charles Lee Ray over there, I am also joined, as always, by the cantankerous, cavernous creep show of complete crustaceans and the Cretaceous period, the one and only Brandon the Boss Blacker.
Who the fuck is Brandon the Boss Blacker?
Oh God, did you fucking murder my co-host, Chucky? Like, this is not cool.
You give that son of a bitch an introduction, but you don't give me on Chucky, the killer doll.
Okay, hang on, back up. Let me work this out. I got this. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined this week by the horrific, harmonizing, heroic anti-hero of Hadoué Dembella, Chucky, the murderous doll.
Thank you very much. That's how you do an introduction, folks. Now, this is called Talking Chuck with the box and the box. You hear me? We are talking
with the box and the box?
That's right. We are talking Chuck.
With just me.
With just you and me, motherfucking Chucky.
Man, I'm beside myself. I wasn't prepared with my notes. I didn't prepare for the occasion. I just got ready to talk about you, not to you.
Lunchbox. Who's your favorite scary movie icon? It doesn't matter who your scary movie icon is.
I'm sorry I didn't smell what the Chuck was cooking.
What is this chat box? I don't do technology. Just fuck, son of a bitch! I'm fucking out of here. I can't work with this shit.
Okay, and the killer doll has left the scene. Hopefully Brandon's okay over there, guys. Like, we all need to send our thoughts and prayers down to the Blacker household. I'm gonna call Heather, and she's gonna yell at me, and hopefully I don't wake the baby up. Hopefully Brody's okay. Oh, fuck. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lost all connection at the Blacker household. I'm just going to go ahead and pop my beer. I'm drinking a Zombie Whip by San Marcos Brewing Co. So, let's see how this goes, because we've lost connection on the other side over there. So, as you may or may not have guessed, by the way, welcome to the show. Mike Vanek, Jordan Marin Harrison, Lenny, Amanda Lopez, Sean Zuspin, and whoever else I may or may not have missed. We are here tonight to talk about all things Child's Play related. Now, this, of course, is primarily due to the fact that a brand new Chucky series has debuted on Sci-Fi. If you haven't watched that, they're 2 episodes deep. I highly recommend you get in on that, because so far, so good. And once we get a safety from Brandon and he tags back in, if he tags back in, we'll go ahead and get to that. But
sometimes you may laugh, but this is the real me. I'm the real Chucky.
You sound more like the real Macho Man.
May have a little macho in the bloodline, if you know what I mean.
I'm so sorry. This is so badass. Like, if I knew we were doing costumes, I'd have worn the same costume I wore Saturday night.
Would you tell us a little bit about your costume? Because I heard it was a bit murderous.
Well, those of you who know me and on a personal level, you know that I play in Nothing But Losers, the Central Valley's most hated premier horror band. And my bass player and twin brother, Dave Bell, it's me, Lunchbox, not Gimp, doing the show, does his performing in a thong, a skirt, and fishnets. Well, it's a Halloween party, right? So you got to come in costume. So who better to commemorate than my bass player and twin brother, Dave Bell? So your much heavier boy came out through the curtain to play his set wearing a skirt, a fishnet shirt, and an alligator marble bag G-string.
I don't know if you can tell, but I'm wincing in horror right now at the thought of your, I don't even know what to call them, their little sack hanging out for everyone to see.
No. My sack was contained. And my wang was in the alligator. Like, it's cool. Like, Nobody saw anything, and thankfully, because there were people under the age of 18 there, so I kept it PG-13. You could show this on primetime TV, and I stayed away from the anything after 10 p.m. on El Rey, where they show boobs.
Sounds like a good time.
It was a good time, and well, Chucky B, Chucky Blacker.
God damn it, son of a bitch! God.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be subject to random Chucky attacks all night, I feel like.
I don't know how many times I gotta tell that son of a bitch that he's not the real Chucky. I'm the real Chucky.
I got nothing. What did you do this weekend, Chucky Blacker?
You know, just kind of shot the shit, you know. Took little things out to the trash, little things that went out of style. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
You know, I
have no clue what you mean.
Stabbed some birds, you know, hunted some cats, took out your uncle. You might want to check on your uncle.
I don't have any uncles.
Well, somebody better go check on him.
Somebody better go check on their uncle because it wasn't mine.
What can you do?
I mean, closest thing I have to an uncle's Roy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it appears we are free of the doll. What's up, Chris Austin? How you doing this evening? I'm going to take this next drink of my zombie whip in your honor. So while we're waiting to see if we're still dealing with murderous dolls or if our co-host is okay, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, Jordan, I guess you can ask Chucky things. Like, I don't know if he'll give you a story. He didn't give me one. Apparently, he fucking killed somebody he thought was my uncle. So somebody better check on their uncle out there this weekend. If you ain't heard from him, give him a call. So, as you see above my head, Jennifer Tilly and doll form, and my God, Bride of Chucky. Like,
whoa,
before we get deep. Oh my God, Brandon, you're safe.
Hey, so what's going on? Like, I went into the kitchen to grab some wine, and I just heard a bunch of commotion.
Dude, it was crazy. We were visited by Chucky, and his face was it was the iteration where his face was all stitched together and fucked up. It was creepy, and he talked for a while, and then next thing you know, fucking, you know, he gets mad and he walks out and he makes me redo my whole intro, and just for him. And then he knocks the camera over as he walks away, and then it comes back and there's this giant fucking Chucky with a really fucked up face, dude. Like, I cannot describe the fucked upness of his face. It was like, you remember on Drop Dead Fred when he got hit with the shovel?
Yeah.
It was like that. Or like in Beetlejuice when the flat guy on the zip line is taking the married couple, I forget their last name, to you know, teach them how to hunt and all that shit.
Yeah.
It was like that. And then all of a sudden he gets attacked by what I'm assuming was the same doll. Could have been another one, as you know, we'll get to in Cult of Chucky explain that there could be fucking Chuckies everywhere right now. And then all of a sudden after he got attacked, he threw that doll off, got into a bit of a verbal spat with it, and then the camera went off, and then you came back.
Oh, man. I think that's the longest I ever went to go grab wine. Am I late? Oh, shit, it's already 8:20. I guess I'm late.
Yeah, dude, you said you were hitting play. You shot the live link out.
Yeah.
We started, and then all of a sudden after the theme song, I'm faced with a fucking murderous doll. Like, you don't pay me enough for this shit.
You get paid?
Like, no, and that's my point. Like, I'm a broadcast journalist. I am a serious, goddamn professional, Brandon.
Wait,
I don't fuck with dolls.
You're a broadcast journalist?
Journalist.
Journalist. All right, everybody. So we are here to talk all about Chucky. We're going to do a Chucky retrospective for you, or just a mass review of the franchise, of that killer doll, that son of a bitch, Chucky.
that plastic bastard, as it were.
Plastic bastard.
Here, and you know what? I saw that when you reshared everything and dressed it up with better pictures and hashtags and shit, that you still stole my quote.
What?
So
Oh, yeah.
I was really happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I was really happy about that because I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but because I was too busy writing, dad rock lyrics today.
So Jordan Harrison wants to ask Chucky questions. Well, I don't see any Chucky here right now, but if he shows up, I'm sure he'll answer them.
Chucky sounded weirdly like Macho Man. It was kind of funny. And he's a little more Boston than I thought he was.
Well, I mean, the coronavirus is going around. Maybe he has a little frog in the throat. Who knows?
Well, I mean, I know he's from Jersey and all, but he never really sounded like it. Like, maybe his roots finally caught up to him.
Hey, that's what happens when you age. I mean, maybe things go weird when you're stuck in a possessed doll.
I wouldn't know. I do know that things go weird when you're age. I'm starting to get gray as fuck around the sides and the end here. I'm growing out my beard for my Halloween costume next week. So
I thought you were talking about becoming impotent.
No. The other night, the constant groping proved that was not a problem.
All right. So we have played around. I mean, I guess you've played around. I don't know what the fuck's been going on, but let's get into it, shall we? So, all the way back in 1988, we got this little, just out of nowhere movie called Child's Play. And it was it was hot off the presses of, a My Buddy doll coming out where, like, basically mass marketing to kids was like the big thing because everything from the late 80s to the early 90s was all about, marketing to kids.
Speaking of which, Nicole Brown says she hopes your night's well, Brandon. He's got murderous dolls running around his house somewhere. So he goes to get wine and they take over the show. So far he's doing okay, but if he gets drug under the desk and we see blood, we know what happened.
And by the way, speaking of wine, I am actually drinking a sweet red. It is a Gina Casarosa. It is the black edition, and it is a 5%, and it is delicious.
Is that the same one you were drinking last week?
Yep, I'm going to finish it this week.
Right on. I don't know if you heard earlier. I know Chucky did. I'm drinking a Zombie Whip, which is an 8% fruited sour ale with strawberry, orange, banana, fluff, vanilla, and lactose.
Lactose?
So, yep. So it gets that kind of milkiness to it.
Okay.
So I told everybody about what I did this weekend. You, of course, have seen some of the pictures.
Yeah, man. So saw some of the pictures, saw all of your glory and undercarriage. Thank you for that.
Dude, I look fucking awesome. Like, my ass is great right now. I'm toned and shit. Like, my titties are smaller. Like, I feel good about myself.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool seeing Dr. Evil don some goth gear.
Dude, I hella did. Like, until you mentioned it, I never even thought about that. I still look like fucking Dr. Evil. That was Dave's idea, by the way. Like, it was funny. Like, when I busted through the curtain, like, JoJo hella laughed. The rest of the band laughed. Dave didn't notice me at first, and he turns around, and all of a sudden, he just about falls over. And that was when we did the whole, it's like looking into a mirror thing with our hands, and fucking, he just laughed his ass off. And after the set, I was like, hey, before I put some clothes back on, you want to go take bathroom selfies? And he's just like, I never thought I'd say this with another man, but yes, let's go take some bathroom selfies. And those are the ones that you got to know me and hit me up privately, and I'll, at my discretion, send them to you or not. like my wang stays in, but there's a lot of butt.
That's okay.
My wang stays in the alligator.
Truly, I love you, but I'm cool, man. I'm cool.
I'm just, hey, I wasn't necessarily talking to you. I could be talking to our audience. There could be someone out there that's a weirdo that wants to see me naked.
Apparently it's not Mike Vanek, because he said that shit made me puke. And to further the statement, Mike, Jennifer Tilly is scorching hot.
Scorching hot, dude. Been my obsession since forever. That raspy voice and then big old titties, man.
Dude, she's what, 62, 63 years old right now, and she is still fine.
I thought she was only in her mid-50s,
no.
but yeah, either way. Okay, yeah, either way, like, no, she's up there and she still looks like that. Like, and to the best of my knowledge, she's all natural.
Yeah.
So she's not doing the Cher.
Oh, God, or the Elvira. So,
hey, Elvira still looks good.
Oh, dude, Cassandra Peterson is beautiful.
So, but we're not here to talk about Cassandra Peterson, and we're going to touch on Jennifer Tilly later.
we will we will touch all over her.
We will touch Jennifer Tilly later.
So, I mean, we're talking about Child's Play. Let's bring it all the way back to 1988. Where mass market marketing towards children was all over the place. My Buddy dolls and Transformers and G.I. Joes and all sorts of crazy, cool He-Man shit from the 80s. Even like WWE wrestling toys and everything was just crazy in your face. And this movie was an ode to that. It was all about just the effects of mass marketing towards children.
Yes, like that was the social commentary side of it, which is funny because most people thinking of a movie and a franchise that went the route it did would not think that it has subliminal and underlying messages, but they're there.
Yeah. And so, okay, I like to do this thing. I'm gonna try not to do it too much, but I like to try to do this thing where, like, I watch a movie and I'm just like, okay, really? Like, why? How? What? Like, the first thing that came to mind, like, watching.
Thank you, Jordan. 63, by the way, on Jennifer Tilly.
That's what I thought. First thing I thought, like, when I was old enough to kind of, like, understand the movie a little bit more, other than just, like, some scary looking doll. Like, it was just, I totally lost my train of thought. That sucks. Derailed entirely. That sucks. Yeah. Okay. So back on the track. So I never understood how some kid would just, like, pick up a doll that, like, talks to him. It was like, oh, this is normal. And this isn't taken away from the movie. It's just it's my own personal commentary about it. I'm just kind of like, how does this 8-year-old kid, like, pick up this doll and he watches the commercials, he watches everything good guy, and then this doll is saying, hey, by the way, I'm Charles Lee Ray, I'm this and that. And he's like, oh, yeah, my doll is awesome. Okay, cool. This is normal.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Like you said, he's into all things good guy. Like you said, the message of mass marketing to children and digging into, getting your kids to want things was what led to his desire for this good guy doll and why it was such a big deal for him anyway. Now, remember, one of the first lines he says is, I thought you only said 3 phrases. And I forget Chucky's exact retort, but it was basically like, I'm the upgraded model.
Oh yeah, they said that in Child's Play 3.
I think he said it in the first and the other one. Like, I almost and the third one. I think it was a callback because of the fact that, like you said, Andy at first seemed taken aback by the fact that his doll did more than it was supposed to do. But when he explained that he was essentially a human in a doll's body, like this lonely child who got the only toy he ever wanted, also then decided, well, now he's got the friend he always wanted.
Right.
2-for-1 special, baby. Like, it doesn't get any better.
Well, and, Chucky went along to prove that he is his friend till the end, right? So, like, the soul of the movie was all about, what's her name? The chick from Seventh Heaven, Catherine.
Heigl?
No.
No.
Uh,
No, she showed up later.
Wait. So the mom from Seventh Heaven, Chucky's, Andy's mom. Wow, that wine is hitting me already.
I think you're just so excited because the other reason we went with this is Brandon's franchise.
It is.
Like he's got the tattoo, he's got hella Chucky collectibles. Child's Play is to Brandon as The Simpsons is to your old buddy Lunchbox.
Yeah, man. So, I am a little excited.
So either way, take a breath and let it go, man, because that was one of the reasons I did this is because you said you wanted to get this into more of an easy going show, take away a little bit of complication. I figured what could be easier than you talking about your favorite horror franchise.
I'm looking up the name right now because I'm drawing a fat blank for no reason whatsoever. Where is it? It's right here. Oh yeah, I was right. Catherine Hicks. Okay. She was the soul of the movie. Like, you really felt for the mom because the kid was going through all this stuff. Just watch the babysitter die. And by the way, why is that cop? Why was the cop so lazy? Like,
he was disillusioned. Remember, that was another thing. We're talking 80s homages. Remember, in Die Hard, all that cop really had to offer was, I shot a kid.
Like, okay, so, and I joke with this with my lovely, beautiful, amazing, awesome, wife, Heather, is just that nobody ever believes the kid. Ever. They're just, hey, Mom, there's a monster under my bed. Go the fuck to sleep. Nobody.
Mom, I heard a noise. Mom, Mom, my doll's a murderous psychopath.
So Andy comes running out of the room. Mommy, I know who did it. And the cop is like, yeah, Chucky did it. And he's like, the doll? Yeah. And Mom and the cop are just like, all right, I'll see you later. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Well, but I mean, how are you going to... Okay, Brandon, take your adult self, and let's pretend that you're not the world's biggest Child's Play fan.
Yeah, sure.
And that you aren't the horror buff. Like, you, me, and most of the people we kick it with, if someone comes in and says, my doll murdered people, we're going to buy that and go investigate it. Like, immediately. And we're going to try and catch this fucking murderous thing and, like, put it on display and ask it questions because all of our favorite movies have just come to life right there.
I don't know, Scoob.
Now, before this franchise and many of the others that spawned off of it, Killer Dolls was only a thing told in storybooks.
Right.
You know?
We had one movie before that, and we had a segment from Trilogy of Terror. You remember that one?
No.
Oh, okay. Basically, it's you know what? Just go watch it. It's hard to explain.
Okay.
But it's from the 70s and it's wonderful. Okay, so Child's Play was the beginning of all this. It's the introduction of Andy Barkley. It's the introduction of Chucky and Charles Lee Ray. And those are the real mainstays from this movie in particular, right there. Now, throughout the movie, it plays out like a regular 80s horror movie. You got your jump scares. You have...
Real quick, before you get too deep, don't forget that basically the backstory is Charles Lee Ray is a mass murderer, a serial killer. And in the beginning, he is shot and left for dead. He's dying, and he breaks into a toy store. And then not only is he a serial killer, he practices voodoo.
Conveniently.
Right, conveniently. So when he breaks into a toy store, as he's dying, as a last-ditch effort, he puts his soul into a good guy doll, which, as we've discussed, is the hot topic right now for kids. This is the fucking Tickle Me Elmo. This is the Coco Melon Jojo. This is all those toys that we grew up wanting that none of our parents could afford for us because they didn't love us enough. This is that toy. And then, of course, he meets up with Andy Barclay, and as Brandon stated, those are the only two names you really need to remember through 90% of this franchise.
Right. So, yeah, and, throughout it, Chucky starts forming, and we're going to give you, some backstory a little bit. It might be jumbled around, but basically, if you haven't seen the movies, and I'm sure most of you watching have, he finds out that the longer he stays in the body, the more human he's going to become. Now, once finding this out, he kills the guy who tells him this with a voodoo doll of all things. So voodoo is real, apparently. Transfers his soul
real
into a doll. Okay, that's not real enough. But he finds the dude's voodoo doll and kills him with his own voodoo doll. That's cool.
I just want to know why Homeboy had a voodoo doll of himself.
Yeah.
Was he jerking it off?
Oh my god.
Did it get too hard to just play with his own dangle? So he made a voodoo doll and just decided to rub one out with it when he got a chance. And then, oh, by the way, this murderous doll, inhabited by the spirit of his boy, knows where the voodoo doll is. And is like, hey, I'm going to use this to kill you.
Yeah. And Chucky says it best too. It's like, you really shouldn't tell your customers where you put this stuff.
By the way, what's up, Seth Baker? Thank you for joining us tonight.
Seth? Yeah, man. Okay, so eventually the whole plan here now is, he has to transfer his soul into the first person that he told his secret to, and that is an 8-year-old boy in Andy Barclay. So therein lies the plot line right there. That is something that's going to hold the franchise up for a while. So yeah, Child's Play, it was pretty good. It matched up to all the other late 80 movies, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday the 13th, the Pumpkinhead. There's Michael Myers.
But it was more in the vein of similar to Nightmare on Elm Street, in the fact that it dealt with the fantastical in the voodoo and doll sense of it, and the fact that, unlike your Myers, Leatherfaces, Pumpkinheads, Jasons, Chucky had a smart mouthpiece on him, so he was more like Freddy Krueger in that way.
Which is why he's so likable today.
Right. I think that's one of the reasons why you like him so much. He's a smart ass, like, you and everybody you're associated with.
Right. And I can't tell you how many times I got in trouble in school for smarting off just because, I thought I would say something funny like Chucky would. So.
Did you tell him don't juggle the Brandon's balls?
No.
Don't bust Brandon's balls, Mrs. Bitch Face.
No, but I've told many a teachers to go fuck themselves. So
you tell everybody to go fuck themselves. I think you told that to me 3 times in post-production or pre-production tonight.
I didn't tell you anything.
Well, then you're late.
So being the first movie in the franchise, to build, we're into what, 7, 8 movies now?
7 and a TV show. Yep,
7, a TV show, and yeah, that other one.
The reboot. Which we'll get to.
So, okay. Child's Play, is the foundation. It was so popular when it came out. Just less than 2 years later, we get Child's Play 2.
And my buddy doll sales skyrocketed, and people were terrified by them. Like,
I don't know about you. I was terrified by Teddy Ruxpin.
See, Teddy Ruxpin was creepy, of course, but my buddies look so similar to the good guy doll.
Right.
That, my sister Trish threw away her My Buddy. I had a My Buddy for a long time, and about the time Child's Play came out, it conveniently disappeared. I didn't toss it, but I think one of my boys did.
Yeah. And by the way, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Yeah, so Child's Play was so successful, it spawned a sequel less than 2 years later, and we got Child's Play 2, which I will say outright is my favorite one so far.
I get that.
So Child's Play 2 literally took Child's Play 1 and added a larger budget to it. Made everything large, big, like in your face. Like it was cool. So basically they
Gorier, scarier.
like Play Pals gets this thing where they're like, "Oh, yeah, there's a, one of our dolls is a killer doll, and people are talking about it, and sales are tanking, and da 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 da." So they get the doll, and they do the most logical thing about it, and they take it apart and then put it back together manually, and electricity brings Chucky back to life.
Which it seems to do with a lot of our fucking homicidal maniacs. Jason, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Like, homicidal maniacs tend to be brought back by lightning strikes and big storms of electricity. So people, mind your homicidal maniacs corpses in electrical storms. They could come back.
Oh, speaking of which, Mike Vanek, he's talking about Teddy Ruxpin. So I remember being about 7, 8 years old having a Teddy Ruxpin, and I threw it away because one night in particular, I swear to Bob, like I was in bed, I was sleeping, and all of a sudden, because you remember those things were motion activated.
Correct.
So I was in bed, I was kind of rolling around, and all of a sudden he started like doing the whole Teddy Ruxpin, da 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 da, da. And he started doing the thing, and then all of a sudden he's like, Teddy Ruxpin, Teddy Ruxpin, and I'm just in bed like, ah! So eventually I got out of bed, I took him, and I threw him away. Wait, you have a Teddy Ruxpin?
No, but since we're on the subject of creepy animatronics, I have a Homer clock.
Okay.
And when I don't know if it's not doing it right now because the batteries are not in it, but when its arms move, its eyes move. See? So, every so often, even when, and it has an alarm setup which says some of my favorite Homer catchphrases, like, wake up, your breakfast is getting cold and eaten, things like that. But one time my wife was walking by it and it just goes out of nowhere.
Nope. Mm-mm.
So she told me that bitch had to go somewhere.
You need to put it in the garage.
I didn't have a garage at the time. I lived in an apartment.
Oh, okay.
It's in the garage now.
For the same reason.
By the way, Mike Vanek, we played Ozzy Osbourne tapes in our Teddy Ruxpin and AC/DC. Quite right, too, I think.
Nice. Yeah, so Child's Play 2, the company catches wind of the crime and the thing that happened with Andy and his mom and everything, and they grab the doll, and they're like, yeah, this is what happened? Yeah, okay. So they put the doll back together manually, kills the people that are putting them back together, electricity brings them back to life, and we're off to the races.
Right. Well, and basically the whole premise was, hey, all these murders happened centered around this good guy doll, but this thing outsold all of our other toys 10-1.
Yeah.
So we have to repackage, remarket, and put it back out there and get it back in the minds of children again, because come on, just because one is involved in a string of murders doesn't mean they're all bad. Like,
so at this point, Andy Barkley is back. Mom is certifiably insane in the insane asylum because nobody believes that Chucky was a killer doll, and nobody certainly believes an 8-year-old boy who at this point is denying everything because he knows that people are going to think he's crazy. So at this point, Chucky still thinks that he needs to find Andy Barkley. So I gotta find Andy Barkley. I gotta put my soul into his body, giggity, and I need to become a real boy.
Right. He's trying the Pinocchio approach here, but instead of being transformed, he's just going to put his soul in another vessel.
Yeah. So, well, at this point, Andy is in foster care. Goes with a nice family who doesn't seem to like him very much.
That family fucking sucked, dude. Like, no. They are the typical fucking sucky foster parents that seem to take kids in out of the goodness of their hearts because the wife has a barren womb. The the husband wants to fucking, do something for the wife, but he doesn't really want the kids. He's a professional, but she does. So he's like, all right, fine. We can take care of some strays.
Right. So,
so they get goth punk rocker chick who has a sneaking out problem and fucking murder doll kid.
Right.
I mean, seriously, they know how to fucking pick winners, right?
Oh my goodness. I kept thinking the whole time. You ever seen Beethoven?
Of course.
I kept thinking the husband of that foster family was like it's not the same dude, but I kept thinking it was the dude from Beethoven because he's just like I hate everything. Like
that's always the story in those movies is the dad hates everything. The only difference being Honey, I Shrunk the Kids when Rick Moranis was game and his wife was a bitch.
That's right. I remember that. Okay. But anyways, Chucky tracks him down, with ease by killing the CEO of, Play Pal Toys.
He made him drive him.
Oh, no. Oh, wait.
He snuck into the car and then fucking gigged him.
No, I got my movies mixed up. I'm sorry. Yes, he got into the secretary or whatever his name was. Who?
The guy who actually was like, I don't think this is a good idea. And for some reason they gave him the fucking doll and were like, well, you take care of the murderous one, all right?
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, okay, and he tries to throw it in the trunk and he slams his face in it like 8 or 9 times. Then it doesn't work, so he just haphazardly throws the murder doll in the back seat. This thing was responsible for killing people. It should be safe over here.
Yeah, no problem.
Right within reach of my gun.
Yeah, let me stop at the liquor store. Hey, no problem.
That was his fault. He lied to his wife and said, I got the vodka. Because he had the swinger party going on.
Would you ever want to write a theme song for the TV series of Chucky? I think they're pretty good.
Jordan, you always ask this question. Would Brandon and I write a wrestler's theme? Would Brandon and I perform a song on Raw? Would Brandon and I fucking write a Chucky theme? If you really feel the need to ask that, you ain't been paying attention for the last 100 or so episodes. Fuck yes. Commission me and Brandon to write songs for anything, and we'll take a stab at it. It might be awful, but we'll still put it on the fucking resume.
Yeah.
Straight up, we'll do it.
Yeah, so, a little bit of the same story of the first movie, except this time we got a cool Madonna goth punk rocker chick, advocating for Andy, and everyone else around him dies. Including Andy's new teacher, who was such a stark raving bitch, who deserved everything that came to her.
And this is your favorite kill in the franchise. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's absolutely only because of the visual that they had of Chucky coming out of the closet. Excuse me, with Chucky. Well, literally, he came out of the closet. Okay, there's no other way to put that.
Yeah, the teacher's storeroom.
Yeah, he came out of the closet, and the angle that they had the camera with him holding the large meter stick, the ruler, dude, excellent, magnificent.
It was a great shot, but this being your favorite kill, like how is a fucking 2-foot doll going to murder a grown person with a yardstick?
Yeah, I've thought about that, and I don't have an answer for you. But yeah.
All right, so next time Heather mouths off, I just want you to pull out a yardstick and whack her with it and see how that goes.
Well, we're gonna end up in the bedroom. That's how it's gonna go.
Depending on what kind of mood she's in when you hit her. Either y'all are gonna end up in the bedroom or you're gonna wind up in the fucking morgue.
Fuck. Hey,
one or the other. There's no in between.
So
Brandy's either gonna have a sibling or not have a dad.
So to kind of paraphrase a little bit, otherwise we could talk a while on this movie by itself. But we have a bunch of other movies to get to. So Child's Play 2 ends in a very dramatic and epic showdown at the Play Pals Good Guy Doll factory.
Which was just fucking nuts. We got to go back to the factory. Why do we got to go back to the factory?
Why did they?
Because we got to go back to the factory.
Why?
I don't fucking know. It's your franchise. Like, it was just one of those things. We got to end it where it all began. And instead of some dramatic shit like Crystal Lake, Haddonfield, or Elm Street, they're like, the Play Pals factory.
Which happens
Let's
to be
fucking go.
Which happens to be within a convenient location next to the house, right?
Right.
It's like right down the road.
This kid just went through this murderous rampage, and they had to send him into foster care. Fuck it, let's send him down the street. like it's okay. He'll be all right just a half a town over. It's okay. The murderers will never find him there. They won't expect it.
You know what? I've never thought of that before. I've never once thought about why the fuck did they go to the factory? Like, I know at some point Andy abducts Kyle and has her drive him to the other foster place where Andy is now at, because Chucky murdered the foster family. And eventually they ended up going to the fucking factory. Why? There's no explanation as to why they go to the fucking factory.
I don't remember. There might be.
I gotta watch it again.
I was gonna say, I gotta watch it tighter. I mean, I was shotgunning through all these because I know you've almost got these things memorized line for line. But I, on the other hand, it's been a minute. So I was fucking shotgunning through all fucking 8 movies and the TV show in the last week.
Yeah. So, and an epic showdown absolutely occurred in some of the most prolific and ridiculous ways. Like, number one...
What's up, Pelon?
What's up, Pelon? I agree. What's up, man? So there.
I want to come sing a song with your cover band.
Ooh, he has a cover band?
Run for cover.
Oh.
And if they actually bag the actual singer, like their old singer who was a buddy of mine, it looks like he had to step away. And if they bagged who I think they bagged, oh my God.
Okay. I'm with it. So at some point, Chucky loses a hand, decides the most logical thing to do is stick his entire stump into the back end of a knife. You know, because he's Chucky, why not? Tapes it up with packing tape and duct tape. And he's like, yeah, I hate kids. Like,
he did the Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. You know, so there was lots of like, lots of crawling up things and rolling down things and lots of running through yellow boxes.
Not knowing which good guy was actually going to be Chucky or not.
That's the scary part.
That is the creepy part.
And he just comes up. Ah!
Right. That was a beautiful, ominous, like, it's an old trick, but it's a good trick.
Right. You know, they had the kills of like the killing the maintenance guy who's coming in. He's like, "What the hell happened?" And you know, he gets impaled by the eye popper or whatever, the eye machine, whatever you want to call it.
The eye insertion device.
Yeah. So the movie ends where they fill Chucky full of wax. I mean, they just wax him down. He's just this giant thing of wax. He's still coming. He's swiping at legs with his one knife hand. And Andy grabs a air hose and blows him up to Cabbage Patch doll proportions and just explodes everywhere. Oh, man.
Which as a kid was badass, and then watching it last week, I was like, fuck, seriously? Like, I got an air hose! I could crush him with one of these giant machines, but I'm just gonna put an air hose in him. Because all of a sudden I got balls now.
I just needed one teenager to tell me that I'm okay.
Yep. Hey, no, it was the beginnings of a big titty goth girlfriend, dude, is what it was.
Yeah, dude. So, much like Child's Play 2, that got shotgunned like pretty immediately. Child's Play 3 literally came out less than 1 year after Child's Play 2.
Right. Like, I remember the fact that, like, 2 came out, I had barely watched it, and bam, 3's here.
Yeah. And I'm sure you all heard my Chucky story before. It's been about 50 episodes since I've told it, but...
But, so please recap it, because this is what kind of really got your love for the franchise.
Yes. So... long time ago, if you've heard it, cool. If you hadn't heard it, even better. Long time ago, when I was a little kid, I was like 4 or 5 years old, whatever it was, maybe 6, maybe 7, I don't know. Okay, I'll get to it. Anyways, we're at a flea market, and there's like this little tiny consignment store in the flea market. And I'm looking through the toys. I'm looking for action figures, like, I don't know, Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joes, wrestling figures. And all of a sudden my mom goes, "Oh, look what I found." And I look up and she holds like this tiny, like 3-4 inch Chucky doll, like right in front of me. And I freak the fuck out. And I run out into the flea market, and it takes her 2 or 3 hours to find me, because I'm just like spooked. You know, I run off, and I'm just like, I can't go back in there. I'm not even thinking of the fact that my mom needs to find me. Anyways, eventually she finds...
What's up, Kentucky? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Chucky, what's up, man?
Jesse Atherton. He just told everybody, people will remember the name Kentucky better than they remember Jesse.
Fair.
And he's got the accent, too, and all. It's great.
Awesome. So, a couple months later, my parents, my mom and stepdad, they're like, all right, let's go to a movie. We're going to go watch a Disney movie. And we're in the car, and we get inside, and I sit down, and I start to realize that all the previews that they are showing are scary movie previews. And I'm like, even at such a young age, I'm just like, motherfucker, what?
This ain't right.
So the movie finally starts, and it opens with the exact same factory that we saw in Child's Play 2, except it's very destitute at this point, to the fact that it hasn't been used in 8 years. So they decided, you know what? This good guy doll thing decided to come back. Well, what the fuck was that? Oh, weird. So, anyways, I'm watching the movie, and all of a sudden at the very, oh, that's what happened.
What happened?
My light fell. Okay, sorry. I keep interrupting. I apologize. So, Chucky comes on the screen. He's resurrected. The blood gets into the wax as they're bringing the factory back, and they're cleaning it up and whatever. And I freak out again, but I make it through the whole movie. I was pale white. Reportedly by my mom, I was pale white.
But you're pale white now.
No. I was even paler. I was scared.
You were Impaler.
That's a badass band, by the way. Impaled.
Oh, God, Impaled.
Okay, so I get back in the car. My mom's like, okay, we played a trick on you. I'm so sorry. But just in case you were good, I got you a present. And she goes, close your eyes, hold out your hands. So I proceeded to close my eyes and hold out my hands, and she put something in my hand, and I felt some cotton, something a little rough, a little plasticky, and I opened my eyes. It's the goddamn Chucky doll from the. Thanks to my parents, man. They fucked me up. Like there were other stories. Like one time, my uncle was over and he brought a projector, and called me out at like 11 o'clock or midnight to come into the hallway. So he put a fucking movie, one of the Child's Play movies, on the projector and made it seem like Chucky's walking down the hallway. As I'm like half asleep, I'm like, what? Ah!
So let me get this straight. Your family traumatized you with this particular doll and these particular movies, and this is your franchise.
Well, you know how they say facing your fear is the best way to get over it?
Right, you attract what you fear and all that.
That's kind of what happened.
Oh, big titties, no.
That's kind of what happened.
Okay.
So, I have an appreciation for it. I appreciate the the sarcastic nature of the character.
No surprise there.
Okay. Anyways, Child's Play 3. It is 8 years later, and at this point, Chucky's been resurrected. At this point, he shows up and finally kills the actual CEO of the Play Pal Toys in a hilarious fashion.
Yes, this was where in just moments that this turned from a horror franchise, because Chucky had some quips here and there, one-liners.
Oh, yes.
But it was not really a funny series. He just said the occasional funny thing. Once again, very reminiscent of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
But this was where they first started showing the shades of where the franchise would go from here.
Right. So, he's still on Andy Barclay's nuts.
Right, and Andy Barclay is now. I love how it's 8 years later, but the movie takes place less than a year later than the act. Like in real life, if they put it out like less than a year later.
Yeah. So they get a new Andy Barclay because at this point Andy Barclay's supposed to be 16, 17 years old, and
in the military,
in military school.
Military school, yeah.
And yeah, Chucky ships himself there. And how does he do that? How is he that talented where he can wrap himself, tape himself, and ship himself?
There had to be an accomplice.
Maybe we'll figure out who that is later.
I think that's how that kind of ties in without it tying in. Kind of like Saw, when it turned out everybody was in on it. I think fucking you're in on it now. Kind of the same thing where like everybody in the surrounding universe is a fucking partner of Jigsaw. Yeah. Same shit.
Yeah. Okay, so Chucky shows up at military school. Chaos starts to happen. A poor, hapless garbage truck driver dies.
Dude, that was actually my two favorite kills are in this movie.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Of my favorite kills in the franchise. One for how good it is, one for how bad it is. The how good it is what you mentioned with the poor, hapless garbage truck driver. Because it was perfect. When Chucky mails himself, for those of you who haven't seen it, spoiler alert, it's been 20, 30 some odd years now, fuck off. I'm going to go ahead and spoil this one for you. He mails himself, he winds up in the hands of the youngest cadet in school whose father's in the military, like 9. Still old enough to want to play with good, or young enough to want to play with good guy dolls. The colonel of the school is like, that's inappropriate for school, throws the doll away. In the dumpster, garbage man dumps it in the truck, and from the inside of the truck, Chucky starts yelling, "Help, I'm in here." And of course, any respectable garbage man hears that cry, they're going to stop the truck and try and get the unsuspecting victim out.
Yes.
And then, of course, that leads to him being, disabled by being stabbed in the leg or whatever. And then Chucky leaves him in the truck and fucking flips the switch and fucking crushes him.
By the way, is that really what garbage trucks look like on the inside?
Not anymore.
Hmm.
Not anymore. Now they're backloading.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
For that reason, so that way you don't have to crawl in and out the top.
So I have some quips about this movie. So number one, this movie is so over the top. I love this movie for the simple fact that it's hilarious. The one thing I cannot wrap my head around, Andy Barkley was kind of dumb as an 8-year-old kid. Tyler takes the whole fucking ball field. This kid is just devoid of any thought process at all.
He's a military brat. He does what he's told.
He is the dumbest kid I have ever seen. Okay, this kid steals the package that holds Chucky in it, right?
Well, remember, he's sent to deliver it, and he accidentally half opens it.
I know, and he's stoked to see because he was down there in the barber shop. He saw the commercial, yada yada yada. But so he steals the package, goes and rips it open. 5 seconds after ripping it open, Chucky bursts through the box. Goes, "Who the fuck are you?" And this kid's first words to the doll are, "I thought you only said 3 sentences." He's not surprised at the fact that this thing bursts out of a box, is cussing up a storm, and is physically pissed off. But anyways, he's just like, "Oh, hi. I thought you only said 3 sentences." Like, really?
Well, maybe he thought that it did all that. Maybe he thought it did move. Maybe all he saw was the commercial, and he was so impressed. Because clearly that kid is devoid of a childhood.
No, I don't buy it. That kid is devoid of something.
Well, I'm just saying, he never had a childhood. His dad's in the military. I'm guessing he doesn't have a mother. And so he's lived his whole life being brought up in military school.
Right.
So he's never had a childhood. So, I mean, he's a little old to be wanting a good guy doll. But, like, when he sees the commercial, he's just straight up, wow.
But yeah, that's the one thing I couldn't wrap my head around. The whole movie was just, this kid is just not there. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, what is your favorite Chucky movie? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. I know there's more of you in here. I see who's in here.
Or your least favorite.
Or your least favorite. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, tell us a beef with the franchise. Tell us what you don't like about the franchise. Oh, my other favorite kill for how bad it was is when fucking Sheldon dives on the grenade.
Hey, there's got to be a hero, right?
Well, it's for the fact that, like, his glasses aren't even broken. Like, he dives on the grenade, which is what you're, as a good soldier, when you know a grenade is getting thrown into the midst of your boys, that's what you're supposed to do, is make the sacrifice. You either put your helmet on it and put all your weight down, or if you've just accepted either one of y'all dies or all of y'all die, you accept you're dying, and you fucking throw your body on it and hug it to the ground, where essentially you eat up the concussion and all the shrapnel.
Right.
But he gets blown like a few feet into the air, and he comes down hard, and his whole back and everything just gets blown out in a beautiful, gory scene. But when the chick goes to check on him crying and rolls him over, even though he lands face first, his glasses are still on his face and not even a fucking crack.
Yikes.
Like, I have an eye doctor appointment at the end of the year. If it turns out I need glasses, I want to know who made those. Because they took a grenade.
I never noticed that part. I never noticed the fine intricacies of that part.
I noticed that as a 9-year-old boy, dude. When I first saw the movie. First thing I noticed.
Chucky infiltrates the military school, starts killing people, gives a hardened sergeant a heart attack. Let's see. switch it.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. He does all sorts of crazy shit and murders people, but he gives the old colonel a heart attack.
Gives the old colonel a heart attack.
Like, that was easy.
Switches out paintballs for bullets.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Just seeing Tyler hold the damn Chucky doll, and Chucky has like army bullets around his thing, like he's Rambo.
Oh yeah, gotta have the bandolier.
Mike Vanek says Child's Play is horrible, almost as bad as Queen.
I told him his face is horrible.
Oh boy, Mike Vanek, we love you. Let's just keep it at that.
Mike Vanek's not a horror movie guy. He's made that very clear.
Fair enough. I understand. So yeah, okay, and then just like Child's Play 2, the movie concludes in epic fashion where they go to the carnival. And as they go to the carnival, they go to the biggest, grandiose, like haunted house kind of ride thing that I've ever seen anywhere.
See, I thought it was kind of a combination haunted house, big top circus thing, but yeah, no, for like a fucking carnival setup, this shit's badass. Like, what carnival's this at? I'm going to it.
Or let me put it this way: what carnival is this unsafe? So they have a 10-foot fan, or bigger. Who knows? Probably 25-foot fan. I don't know. This thing was massive.
We had those at church camp, dude.
What?
In the tabernacle? When you're in Oklahoma in the middle of the summer with 100-degree weather and like 80% humidity, like fucking, you got to keep people cool. And it's a tabernacle that's open walls and a closed roof.
Right.
So you have these gigantic like 20-foot fans, like 7 of them blowing over the whole congregation.
God damn.
Yeah. That was honestly when I first saw this movie and that was there, I was like, oh, that's like those in the tabernacle.
Yeah. Coming from California and never seen anything like that, I thought it was huge, unsafe, uncovered, and unneeded. But yeah, so basically, they have a battle, Tyler, Andy, fucking, the chick, God, what is her name? Doesn't matter. The love interest of the movie. The only thing I can say is, wow.
It had so much potential. It really did.
Yeah. I mean, they had the cool scene where the Grim Reaper's scythe comes down and rips half his face off, which was really cool. And then, but then it's followed up by the scene of they're climbing this tower above this fan, and you just see like the little legs hanging off, just kind of going side to side. You're like, all right, you just killed the scary for me.
Yeah, right. There's just enough ridiculous in that. You're like, well, you killed the suspense.
Yeah. So, the movie ends by them wafting Chucky, 20 feet down into this giant fan, and once again he gets ripped into pieces. Shredded.
Which leads so bear in mind, this also, not only did this movie was the third and at the time we thought final installment, but this was kind of where the book was closed on the 80s style slasher horror. This, as far as in the
for a while.
In the society, as far as society goes, like from this point out, we started moving more into demonology, your Hellraisers, your Mouth of Madnesses. We started kind of stepping into a different direction with horror.
Right.
So we went from getting a new sequel we got 3 movies in 3 years. We now don't get another movie for 7 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yes, 7, 8 years.
Yep.
When we get Bride of Chucky.
Which was, by the way, hey, by the way, let's take 3 movies, scare the shit out of kids all across the world, and let's turn it into a romantic comedy.
Exactly, and that was what I was talking about with some of the comedy in number 3. When they decided to bring this franchise back, they decided to step more into the bad comedy horror side of things. Like bad horror comedy started to become a quip. People started embracing the fact that they did dumb shit.
Right.
You know, people start bagging on Child's Play, start bagging on that 80s horror, calling it cheesy, calling it bullshit, calling it, the worst shit they've ever seen. So then when this comes back, they're like, yep, that's exactly what we do. So instead of acting like we don't, let's just run headlong at it.
Yep. And I will say, when I first saw this movie, at this point I was a fan. I was like, all right, cool. I like Chucky. This is rad. But when I first saw this movie, I was like really like confused. I was like, wait, what? What am I watching? But and then I realized halfway through the movie where Chucky says, if you really want to know how I got this way, it's going to take 3 or 4 sequels to really do it justice. I was like, okay. All right, now it's not taking it seriously anymore.
Well, this was honestly made to make more movies.
Right.
Like they decided to put a whole lore to this doll because let's face it, here's what we got to start it off. Serial killer gets shot by a cop, breaks into a store and puts his soul in a doll. Now he's chasing this kid for 3 movies.
Right. Yeah.
That's literally what we got. Now take the first sentence of what I said. Serial killer gets shot and puts his soul into a doll. Don't you think there's a lot more meat on the bone there? Like, don't you think that before that he had a huge life? He was a fucking serial killer, for Christ's sake. Like, how many Ed Gein movies have we seen? How many John Wayne Gacy movies have we seen? How many Ted Bundy? I could go on. That's the interesting part of the story. Mm-hmm. So this takes it back because Jennifer Tilly, a.k.a. Tiffany, is Charles Lee Ray's love interest from before his days as a doll.
Oh, yeah. So, Tiffany Valentine, she's been hung up on the fact that, the night that Chucky was killed, he gave her a ring. And she was all like, oh, man, he's gonna propose to me. We're going to get married. And that couldn't have been further from the truth because it was something that he stole and killed somebody for. So she gets a little pissed off. After, by the way, she resurrects him with Voodoo for Dummies.
Voodoo for Dummies. That fucking crushed me because the fact that the Dummies books didn't come out till the early 90s and beyond. And yet he knew it by heart, supposedly from 85?
Yeah.
So they hadn't even come up with Word for Dummies or Microsoft for Dummies yet, but they had Voodoo for Dummies. It was the first book they wrote. Nobody bought it, so they went to more useful things. Mm-hmm. And yet he bought the copy. He's the one guy who bought a copy of Voodoo's for Dummies.
Yeah. Which is still hilarious. Yeah, so Tiffany brings him to life with Voodoo for Dummies. Kills the current whatever friend that Alexis Arquette played.
Oh, God. Alexis Arquette got the shaft in that movie, and she played that part spectacularly.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Alexis Arquette.
Like I said, she played that part so well.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so eventually she gets pissed, locks Chucky in some weird, thing that I didn't know a trailer would have, just a little tiny baby prison.
It's a full-blown cage.
Yeah.
Like it's like a dog kennel with a roof
Yeah. What the hell?
made out of wood. Like this bitch concocted this plan. I'm gonna go get my serial killer boyfriend doll and put him in a cage and resurrect him just to put him in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, worst kill in the franchise was Alexis Arquette.
You think so?
He was smothered with a pillow.
Yeah. Okay.
Like he gets handcuffed by, and my God, in the opening scenes of this movie, Jennifer Tilly in all her glory, and I adored Jennifer Tilly from all the way back, Mallrats, and fucking everything Jennifer Tilly, Liar Liar, like, oh my God.
Bound.
Like everything. Bound. Oh God, Bound. Bound. We watched that scene on loop for like 45 minutes one night. And if you ain't seen Bound, go watch Bound and you will figure out what scene I'm talking about real fucking quick. I think it's at like the 13-minute mark or so. But anyway, holy fuck. It's about 47 seconds long.
Excuse me. I'm going to go Pornhub some Jennifer Tilly real quick.
But anyway, but in this movie, man, she was, as Tony Schiavone likes to say, all the way live.
Yeah, she had the corsets and everything. So, yeah.
The boob tattoo.
Oof.
The nasty trailer trashy boob tattoo.
You know what they say. My mom always said, a true classic never goes out of style, right?
No, that was Chucky who said that, but...
No, she said that. She said that to the dude in the movie. Jay...
And then he says it when he stabs John Ritter to death.
That's right. They both say it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, was this not John Ritter's last movie?
He did one more low budget movie, but yes, this is the last big budget movie he did.
Well, and when you think about it, this cast was pretty stacked. You've got Katherine Heigl. You've got fucking Brad Dourif doing the voice of Chucky. You've got Jennifer Tilly, who at this point, if there were no Pam Anderson and the goth style were embraced the way it is today, I think Jennifer Tilly could have been one of the great sex symbols in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, she still is.
Well, I mean, but she's a cult one to people like you and me who knew who she was back then. Mm-hmm. Like, we knew who she was before Bride of Chucky. Bride of Chucky kind of put her on a new level of visibility because she got a patented character with it. Personally, I think she and Brad Dourif are the ones who made out the most on this franchise.
Oh, for
straight up.
Sure.
Straight up, they're still making money on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, this is actually, and then you've got the great John Ritter. This cast was dynamite.
Yeah. Like,
when you really break it down, they spent some money making an intentionally horrible movie.
And, we've said it a few times now, it is a cult classic at this point.
Yeah. It was one of the first forays into intentional horror comedy.
And I will say, to this day, I still bump the soundtrack to this day.
Well, dude, I mean, which was one of the dumbest parts of the movie when he turns on More Human Than Human, and there's just a 2-minute scene of him just rocking out with his fist up. It was essentially like Rob Zombie was like, let me slap you 10 grand and you play half my song in this movie.
Well, here's the funny thing. So at the very beginning of the movie, they play Thunder Kiss 65.
No, the beginning of the movie's Living Dead Girl.
Yes, that is not on the soundtrack.
No.
But Thunder Kiss 65 is, which is funny. They couldn't afford Living Dead Girl, apparently.
At least not on the soundtrack, but they let him put it in the opening credits.
Yeah.
And then in the car was the Thunder Kiss scene.
Yeah. Chris Rivy says, I lost my virginity watching Chucky with a girl in high school. Hey, there you go.
And Vanek says Ritter was doing a sitcom when he died. You are correct.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, Bride of Chucky becomes a Bonnie and Clyde type movie where the same kind of premise where they find two people where they're like, oh, well, we're both now dolls, because Chucky kills Tiffany, transfers her soul into a doll, and, well, there you go. They're both dolls.
Her acting in the death scene was great. And I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm talking about like how they have to really quickly tell you that the girlfriend of this mass murderer is equally as crazy and just as deadly. But yet here she is after she's in prison. She goes on a revenge plot to resurrect her boyfriend from the dead in the same spirit of the doll that he's being tormented in, lock him in a cage out of spite. And then 2 minutes later, she's in the bathtub watching movies on a crappy ass little black and white TV. And that was a badass bathroom for a trailer, by the way.
That was like half the trailer.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, seriously, the trailer looks like they show you the whole moment when they walk from inside to the back room when Alexa Arquette's trying to get her to bang him. But then, like, when they show you the bathroom is like the whole size of my garage, and the tub is just this classic clawfoot bathtub, and she's in there with this cheap-ass black and white TV, crying, drinking champagne to Bride of Frankenstein.
Perfect.
Like, she's literally crying watching this movie. Like, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal showing on just building the crazy that is her.
So, you know, he runs in and she kicks him as he jumps at her with a knife, and then he throws the TV in there, electrocutes her, and she dies.
So as Brandon was alluding to, he then puts her spirit in the little doll that she brought to mock him with.
Yep. So they have a lot of comedic moments. The movie is a lot of fun, but coming off of Child's Play 3 and then coming into this movie, it was a bit of a shell shock at first.
Right, because you didn't expect him to be so slapstick about it.
Yeah. At first.
You know,
and then you have the story of Jesse and Jade, who are both kind of young, I guess. Like, I guess she's like 17 and he's like 20 or some shit. And, you know, John Ritter...
Oh, that would fly today.
No. John Ritter plays a police captain. Chief, thank you. Plays a police...
Yeah, he's her uncle.
Yeah. And he's just like, no, you can't be with my my whatever the fuck she was. Niece or whatever. So eventually they concoct a plan like, oh my God, I got this thing from my neighbor and she wants me to pick up 2 dolls. She's going to be $500 now and $500 when I get there. We can start a whole new life with just $1,000.
Hey man, you know as well as I do, at that age, $1,000 seems like a lot of money.
Yeah. So
I mean, don't get me wrong, $1,000 is a lot of money. If you want to send us $1,000, send it via Venmo to Boss in the Box, because it's not a lot of money.
It's not.
But it's not.
Just pull it out of your couch cushion. Send it to us.
Right, or whatever you got in your couch. We'll take it if it's $1.
So yeah, they go on a road trip. To go to New Jersey because they have to get the heart of Damballa in order to transfer their souls into these 2 unsuspecting humans' bodies. So,
this is really an elaborate plot.
Yeah. So stuff happens along the way. They go. So
John Ritter dies gloriously.
Yeah, and Jesse and Jade are now in a manhunt because they are labeled as murderers by the press. You see how the press is bad, ladies and gentlemen? You do one thing that's not your fault, and the press will come back and get you.
Yeah, you just run away as a young couple trying to, like, seek things and get married and whatnot and get away from your maniacal police chief uncle who's paying another deputy to watch you. Some murderous doll blows him up in a fucking gas tank explosion, and next thing, they're putting a manhunt out for you.
All right, so let's speed this up a little bit here. So basically, they get to the end of the movie. They have to unearth Charles Lee Ray's body.
Remember, he was being excavated for some reason or another.
Yeah, because they found fingerprints on one of the things down at one of the murder scenes.
Right. They found fingerprints from the doll, which somehow matched Charles Lee Ray.
You know, with doll hands. But okay.
Yeah. Like, it's his fingerprints, but they're really small.
This is
Like, because part of becoming human as this doll is apparently you get your old fingerprints back.
amongst other things, like, oh, I don't know, a working anatomically correct penis in an anatomically correct vagina in a doll body. So essentially, they're just midgets, or I'm sorry, little people at this point.
No, no. You know what? No, because there are no little people that are this small. So these are midgets. This is where it's acceptable to say midgets. You've got midgets, then you got little people, then you got dwarves.
All right.
Like these are midgets because they are literally smaller than Wolfie. And they're murderous. So fuck them. Who cares what I'm gonna call them?
Right.
Like, and they're made out of plastic.
Yeah.
So kiss my plastic ass. All right.
All right. So
I also, my favorite scene in this movie was after they finally reveal themselves to be alive to Jade and what's his face.
yeah.
And then like after they all get married, like they're driving down the road after they kill this old couple and steal their RV. And the two teenage kids are apparently smart enough to like start turning the dolls against each other, you know, and being like, well, you cooked him a nice meal. He could at least do the dishes. Oh, and Chucky's like, oh yeah, being married's great. I should have done it a long time ago. And the guy's like, yeah? So she cooks. She's not much a house cleaner, huh? And they get these two dolls fighting with each other.
Marital fighting.
Right, because these 17 and 20-year-olds are so genius they think of that shit.
All right. So, all right, let's speed this up though. So, we get all the way to the cemetery where they're supposed to get the heart of Dumbledore, and at this point Tiffany is burnt to a crisp because they threw her into an oven. You know, she's dying. Chucky doesn't care. Stabs her anyways. They're fighting against each other, and eventually at some point they kick him into the same grave site that his body was in. He lands on his body, breaks his own neck, and grabs the amulet. They do some sort of switch off where Chucky has Jade and Jesse has Tiffany, and they do a trade-off. Eventually it ends up with Chucky back in the hole, and he's just like, all right, go ahead and shoot me. I'll come back. I always come back. And he's not wrong. So they kill him. Tiffany gives birth. Oh yeah, by the way, they had kinky doll sex in the hotel.
Right, which is where you were alluding to earlier with the apparently working penis and vagina.
Yeah, sorry.
And full doll reproductive system.
Yeah. Voodoo reproductive system.
Yeah. Because apparently that's how it works. When you transfer your soul into a doll, the doll grows goodies, or maybe good guys already had goodies, and that's just something we didn't talk about in the earlier movies. Maybe they just didn't bring it up.
They didn't bring it
They
up.
failed to mention that.
They did fail to mention that. Yes. Yeah.
I'm just saying we don't know.
So is Chucky really like packing some like big ol' elephant doll schlong in there?
Tiffany said no. Remember, she said he's small where it counts, if you know what I mean.
Okay, that's fair. But her doll boobs look great.
Not as good as the real ones.
So yeah, eventually in the cemetery, Chucky dies from gunshot wounds. Tiffany gives birth to something, and that something kills a detective, and the movie ends.
Which brings us to Seed of Chucky.
Oh my goodness! You want to talk about comedy? This is where they. Okay.
They stopped caring.
Yeah, they stopped caring. And we're gonna fly through this one. So, Chucky comes back in like the weakest fashion with more electricity. Because they're filming a Chucky movie, and they bring the doll that's being used in the movie to life with some electricity. Both him and Tiffany come back at the same time. They kill some people on the movie set. And let's fast forward to later on. They show this ugly green thing who is being handled by some dirty puppeteer rock star kind of guy. I feel
They don't, and you're right. Like, you think Brandon's being vague? He's not. That's about what they give you.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens. And that green thing turns out he was watching TV and he's like, oh, I have a made in China or made in Japan? I forget.
I don't remember.
Yeah, made in China, made in Japan, whatever. On his wrist, and he sees the Chucky preview on Chucky movie preview on the TV, and he's like, "That must be my father," in a really quaint British accent that only Billy Boyd could do. This movie was you want to talk about Bride of Chucky had good, subtle, romantic comedy humor. They just stopped caring at this point.
just went for broke. Like,
so Tiffany is in the movie, voiced by Jennifer Tilly, but Jennifer Tilly is also in the movie as Jennifer Tilly, as a washed-up actress fucking puppets. Literally. Okay.
Which was the greatest thing in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's how bad it was.
Yep. Eventually the green doll, who is Glenn, finds mom and dad, and they start trying to do the parenting role.
Because why not?
Why not? Meanwhile, Jennifer Tilly's trying to fuck Redman to be in a Bible reenactment, a hip-hop Bible reenactment for some reason. She wants to be the Virgin Mary, but she has to fuck her way to become the Virgin Mary. It's good times.
Good, clean fun.
We also get an incredible cameo from John Waters. If you don't know who John Waters is, go watch old horror movies. He is just simply amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But I will also say this, and this also becomes kind of a theme that I never realized until I heard someone else mention it. I didn't realize that the whole positive. I don't even know how to. You're gonna have to help me on this because I don't know how to say this right. There are so many. Gosh. How do I say this without sounding bad? Because it's not meant to be bad at all. The representation for gay people and LGBTQ community is represented throughout all of these movies. It's actually pretty incredible. And I didn't realize it until watching it. Yeah, absolutely, Mike. John Waters is the king of drag queen movies, but he was in a lot of horror flicks too. Yes, he was. From Alexis Arquette, being in the movies, Don Mancini, the writer and director of these movies, he is a member of that community. To what's happening in the TV show today, to Jesse and Jade's best friend, their gay friend or whatever.
Mm-hmm. The reboot too.
Yeah, the reboot. They had one of those as well. So the representation is unlike anything I've ever seen in any other horror movie or franchise.
And it's very subtle.
Yes. And it's
very subtle, but it's very present.
And it's played up very well too.
Yes, essentially you're leading at the kid and his gender fluidity, the seed, as it were.
Yes. So, and he asks all the big questions. So Glenn becomes Glinda, and Glinda becomes Glenn. man, I ask all the questions like, you know, who am I? What am I? Like, it's actually pretty cool to see. But eventually,
and once again, very subtly done.
very subtly done.
And something that'd be more noticed nowadays than it was back then. Because bear in mind, this is 2004.
Yeah.
So all these hard questions and hard identity things were not being publicly spoken about in cinema.
Right.
At all.
So so Seed of Chucky was a blatant in-your-face comedy. There
With some fun messages in the middle.
with some fun messages and just some hilarious kills, like basically Tiffany, not Jennifer Tilly. Tiffany kills Redman while he's eating and disembowels his guts onto the floor that are steaming. Good times. So yeah, it ends once again with Chucky accepting the fact that, you know what? I don't need to transfer my soul into anybody. I'm a killer doll and I like it.
Right. Finally, like, that's the premise moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this advantage.
Right. So, you know, once again, actual Jennifer Tilly this time. They went through because we saw a Chucky doll masturbating scene where he fills up a cup full of doll jizz and turkey based it into Jennifer Tilly. Yes, that happened.
Yep. Happened.
So we had a voodoo pregnancy, which overnight she gave birth to twins, transferred the souls of Glenda into the kids, and Tiffany becomes Jennifer Tilly, and Chucky is dead. Okay, well, for no explanation other than stuff happening, we're going to take Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, and we're going to put them into two things right now.
Or you mean one thing?
Yes, one thing. Yeah, I've had...
Yes, no, and I'm grateful for that because I was just sitting here thinking, man, we've still got 2 movies and a fucking reboot to cover.
All right,
and a show.
We're getting there. Okay, so I'll sum this up the best we can real quick. So Curse of Chucky starts out with no explanation whatsoever of someone mailing a Chucky doll to Nika, who lives with her mom. She's in a wheelchair. And, well, we're off to the races. Basically, they take the doll out of the box. Her niece shows up and takes a liking to the doll. Much like all the other Chucky movies, young kid, doll attaches themselves to him. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, some weird things are happening with this doll. Okay.
Oh, this doll kills people.
Yeah. Well, amongst the melodrama, some really, really like hypocritical elements in the movie where, you know, the super Christian mom is sleeping with the babysitter, but the dad is also sleeping with the babysitter, but they don't know that. Okay, and, well, everybody dies except for Nika, who turns out to be, if I'm not mistaken, Charles Lee Ray's kid. I think that's what it was. It was either Charles Lee Ray's kid or he has claimed her as his kid. That was a little vague, I think.
Yeah, essentially, there was a relationship between her mother, who was killed immediately, and Charles Lee Ray.
Right.
So there's suspicion she may be his daughter.
Right. So, all right, everybody dies. Nika in the wheelchair, who is actually Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky's daughter in real life, which is amazing how they pulled this off, and
right, pretty cool,
and it worked. So they haul her off to the mental hospital because she's like, yeah, this doll killed everybody, and they're like, no, and they sentence her to a mental hospital, which brings us to Cult of Chucky.
She's trapped in a mental hospital. You know, all of a sudden the doll gets mailed in. Turns out to be Chucky. And Chucky has now realized that he doesn't need to transfer his soul into the body of another human. What he can do that he didn't realize before is he can take other good guy dolls and give them essentially pieces of his soul. It's kind of like the Horcrux theory, like Voldemort.
Yeah. See,
And so he starts cloning Chuckies to kill everybody.
yeah. And I love that idea. I love it so much, and I hope we get more of that in the TV show.
Well, that's your theory on the TV show, right? Because this doll is not the original Chucky Charles Lee Ray. This is because that doll has had its face beat to shit. That doll is fucking half dismembered at all times. This, and once again, your theory, they have not revealed it yet, but this is one of those Chucky clones that is now out in the world, because that's how Cult of Chucky ends, is with Jennifer Tilly driving up in her fucking drop top pink Cadillac, being like, hey, let's infect the world.
Yep.
Like, let's kill everybody.
Yep. Basically,
And that's the end of Cult of Chucky is basically her and the original doll making their escape.
yeah, but we left out a couple really key elements here. Key elements as in Andy from the original trilogy shows up as an adult to come and protect Nika in the mental hospital. And there's a creepy backstory with him where he keeps a severed Chucky head who talks to him and, does stuff, and he tortures the head every once in a while. Yeah, and so he shows up. Kyle from Child's Play 2 shows up. So we're getting some fan service here. We're bringing some old people back from the franchise. It's really cool to see these cameos. So at the...
Hey, Brandon, can you do me a huge favor?
Yeah.
Move the movie posters up onto the faces above the chat.
Yeah, okay.
Because people are talking and I can't see it. And my phone's about dead.
All right. Here, I'll fix that whole thing. So, yeah.
Perfect. That works.
Yeah, and I'll move the chat up. There we go. So, Cult of Chucky ends where he has possessed Nika, who can now walk because she is possessed with somebody who can walk. So she walks, and she is super hot. I love me some Fiona Dourif. And they walk off. Her and Tiffany drive off into the cold, barren sunset with Alice in a Tiffany doll.
In a plot to fucking take over the world with Chucky dolls, essentially.
Right. So, which brings us to, I guess, the TV show, and we'll talk about the reboot here in a second.
Okay.
Well, this brings us to the TV show. If you haven't seen the TV show, I'm telling you right now, we are gonna spoil some shit right now.
A little bit. We can do our best to keep it vague, but we're 2 episodes deep. Tomorrow night's the 3rd episode. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the few things Brandon and I are collectively looking forward to. So we've both actually been all over this like white on rice.
Yeah, so we're giving you explanations, or we've been mansplaining this entire franchise to you for the last hour and a half. But in just a minute after we talk about this, we're gonna tell you what our favorites were, and where we think the series is gonna go.
Yep, but once again, so Brandon, we have made it a point to stay silent with each other since we plotted this show.
Yes.
So, which was essentially the night I watched the TV show for the first time.
Right.
So, how you feeling about it so far?
I think it's perfect.
Okay.
I think it's perfect because, number one, the TV show is doing exactly what they need to do. I was afraid that they were going to do the thing that they didn't do, was take 3 or 4 episodes to introduce Chucky into the show, when we got Chucky within the first 5 minutes of the show.
What made you think they were going to wait?
You know how the suspense horror, you know how they like, oh, well, we're going to set up all of these situations. We're going to set up all this plot armor. And then we're going to bring in the thing that's the show is aptly titled about.
Well, but what I mean is, did you really think they were gonna wait to bring the good guy doll in for a few episodes, or just have him start doing anything for a couple episodes?
Doing stuff was my fear. I thought they weren't gonna allow him to do what he does.
Basically, do the first 45 minutes of Annabelle with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that wasn't the case. We were hot to trot within 5 minutes of the show. So I think the show is incredibly well acted. It is with a bunch of teenagers, so it kind of has like a Diary of a Wimpy Kid feel to it.
Stranger Things.
That too, absolutely.
Absolutely. The age bracket and youth feel has a very Stranger Things feel to it to me.
Yes, I also agree. So there's that. Once again, the main character, he has been outed as a gay kid in the show, and his dad, played by Devon Sawa, absolutely hates it. He's a drunk, just kind of a
Mom's dead.
Yeah, mom's dead. He's kind of a stereotype upon himself, but yeah, like I think I like. It's hard to explain without spoiling everything. So basically, you have a kid who is bullied, he's abused at home, and Chucky sees this and takes a liking to this kid.
Right. He relates, or at least sees somebody that he knows is an outsider, just like Andy Barclay, that doesn't really have a whole lot of friends or kindred spirits that he can influence and manipulate.
Yeah. Jordan says the show is awesome and amazing, so different from the movie versus the show. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so with that being said, you have the bullies at school who are really fucking brutal, man. These bullies suck. And we see how bad they suck in episode 2. And I'm not going to go into that. You're going to have to go watch it. You can find it everywhere. You can even find it on YouTube for free. Go watch it.
Right. If you got Hulu, it's on Sci-Fi. Search it up. Like Xfinity. No, I'm with you. It's like you talked about the social commentary on this kid being gay. He listens to a podcast done by another student. Same age, also gay kid. And there's a bit of a budding relationship there. You know what I mean? And there's so many cool subplots, but in the end, it boils down to the same old song and dance. Kid finds a doll. Kid makes friends with a doll. Kid realizes doll is much more alive than it's supposed to be. Doll kills his father. And now we start to realize what this doll really is. But due to this kid being that angry outcast, he's okay with it. Like, he's down to live with it.
And what I'm starting to see Mr. Miyagi vibes from Chucky. He's basically just like, look, I see your potential. I've got a gay kid of my own, or a gender. What did he say? A gender fluid. Kid of my own.
Well, he's all my kids LGBTQ too, and he was like, really? He was like, yep, gender fluid.
Yeah.
And he was like, really? And you're cool with that? And Chucky goes, I'm not a monster.
I fucking love that. I fucking love that. Yeah. So he takes this kid under his wing, and he's kind of teaching this kid how to be a killer, or at least be able to stand up for himself. But I do like every time where it's not like easy pickings. So first when he picks up the doll, he's like, talk to me. And, kind of like word for word, the same scene from Child's Play 1, except this time Chucky slaps him across the face, and he's just like, Heidi ho, hi, I'm Chucky. I'm your friend to the end. Heidi fucking ho. Like, at this point, he's just like, yeah, you get it. I'm Chucky, okay?
Right, you understand what you're fucking dealing with.
Yeah. And then, Chucky has no qualms of like punching this kid in the face when he's getting out of line. Like he's controlling this kid.
Yeah, yeah. Well, once again, this kid now, Chucky has taken away the only authority figure in his life, and been like, "But look, I'm better than you. I treat you. I respect you for who you are. But man up, toughen up."
Yep. So, with that being said, like what I like about the show so far is we're getting Chucky. We're getting lots and lots of Chucky throughout the show. Lots of him talking, lots of his personality and humor. And then, while there hasn't been that many kills,
I think we're at 2 or 3.
yeah, 2 or let's see. Okay, I don't want to say who, but
Right. Well, we already said Dad, and then there's that other chick.
yeah. So I think 2.
I think we're at 2, with some near misses.
Yes. Jordan says 3. Who is the third, Jordan? Confirm for us, will you? So yeah, like we're getting some cool kills. We're getting the personality. We're also slowly getting into the story of Charles Lee Ray. Eventually, we're going to get Tiffany. Eventually, we're going to get Andy and Kyle. We already got a little bit of Andy on the phone in episode 1.
Jordan's saying if we include the cat.
Oh.
No. As much as I don't like animal deaths in movies, like, the kid gets killed, whatever. But when the dog gets killed, I die inside a little. But the cat, nah, fuck that. It's a cat.
But we don't know if the cat's dead. We just saw that it was a bit scathed.
Cat's dead, Brandon. Come on, let's be real.
All right, fair enough.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Bit by bit, they're building. They're taking what they used to try to slam into an hour-and-a-half movie and stretching it out over a 9 to 10 hour season.
Yes. And I think they're doing a really good job of that.
I actually wonder if, being as we didn't have real horror shows back in the day, like you really think about it, The Walking Dead are the ones who really broke that barrier on having a week-to-week episodic horror show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had our Twilight Zones, our Outer Limits, our Tales from the Crypts, but those were all one-shot stories. This is, we didn't until, like I said, we got The Walking Dead, and then we got AHS, and then now we're starting to see like horror, Gotham to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now we're starting to see horror being told over time.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think we would actually get to about 2 hours with this show. I thought we'd probably kill it within an hour or so, but here we are.
I worried too, but we're almost there.
We're almost there. The one thing I gotta say, the reason I like this franchise so much and this character so much is because even though it may seem convoluted the way they've done it, the storylines have been canon all throughout.
Consistency is good.
While, yeah, like you didn't really get that much consistency with Freddy or Jason. Michael Myers, yes, to a degree, but Michael Myers has been redone so many times that you don't know where things begin and where things end anymore.
Right, when they tried to go with the whole satanic ritual thing and blah, blah, blah. And, like, there was the whole third movie, which doesn't belong.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're trying to say with that.
Yeah. Other than Saw, this is the only horror franchise I can personally think of that has multiple movies that continues to be canon amongst itself.
Agreed. Because the closest being Freddy outside of those two, just because the fact that he stays consistent, the victims do not. There's nobody that really travels from movie to movie with him.
Yeah. We already covered this, Jordan. Okay, so
Probably 7 or 8.
yeah. I mean, as a fan, probably like my teenage years, but because I was completely frightened as a kid.
Right, you just had to watch these movies and get fucking tormented with them.
Yeah, okay. So the Chucky TV show so far, I mean, it is Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh, so people like it, and I like it.
Yep, I'm with it too. And now we can actually talk about it since we're not plotting a show based around it.
Yeah. Okay, so that has been the Chucky franchise, but there's one more thing we got to cover, is the reboot.
I knew we'd get here.
So I'm not trying to be stereotypical and be that guy who's like, oh my God, this movie sucks. Why did they do this? But oh my God, this movie sucks. Why did they do this? And I'll tell you this, I was incredibly let down because the marketing for the movie was so good.
Yes.
I remember seeing all of the marketing as it was coming out, and I was getting really excited, and the hype was building so good. Like, they had a really cool website that they made for it where it was like they were actually selling a product. They were marketing Chucky as, just this Bluetooth monster.
The buddy doll.
Yeah, the buddy.
Because they did not call it the good guy. They did not reference Play Pals. It was the buddy.
Yeah. And instead of being, alive, he was an AI, artificial intelligence that was learning as he went. Just because some guy was pissed in a factory and recalibrated his microchips.
Right. He turned the violence inhibitors off. He turned the limits off, essentially. He made this thing a person.
Mm-hmm. Now, the movie had a lot of promise. Mark Hamill as the voice I love Mark Hamill, but I feel like it didn't work. It was kind of weird. I don't even know how to describe that. But there was some good in the movie. I mean, it had Aubrey Plaza, and anything with Aubrey Plaza is awesome.
Agreed. Like, I'm a big fan.
So other than having the names Karen, Andy, and Chucky, this could have been an entirely different movie. This could have been called something else, and it didn't even have to be associated with Chucky or Child's Play.
I agree entirely. So you're definitely not a thumbs up. Are you a thumbs down or thumbs in the middle?
I'm a thumbs in the middle just because of the marketing for the movie. There were some fun kills. I did enjoy the character of the doll on its own, but it didn't need to be called Chucky.
Okay. Now, for all those reasons, I'm going to show you that my vote was an actual very thumbs up.
Okay.
I was floored by how well this movie was done. Not only, like you said, the marketing, the build-up, the hype that they surrounded it with, but because of the fact that they chose, unlike other movies, to try and drag an old premise and dress it up for the new era. They did it with It. They've done it with some of the Halloween movies. They did it with the new, when they tried to do a reiteration of Friday the 13th, and they tried to do it with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mm-hmm. They did none of that. They literally just took an old concept of this doll is evil. Now let's take a modern spin on it. Like, we're not going to try and drag all the lore. We're not going to try and drag the exact premise. We're not going to try and bring the whole plot with it. We're going to take a modern twist on it and just happen to label it as something that would scare kids today, like this movie was targeted to do back when it came out. And to me, that fucking worked.
Yeah.
It was beautifully done. In the fact that this was not an evil doll enchanted by a serial killer. It was a doll that was, as you stated, a piece of artificial intelligence that learned feelings, thoughts, emotions, all of that shit on its own. Which for the modern day kid is horrifying. And that was what I thought they did such a good job with. I literally finished watching it today and turned it off, walked out here and told my wife, I don't know what Brandon's fucking problem is. That shit's great.
Hey, I didn't say I didn't enjoy it. I just didn't feel like it needed the moniker of the characters.
I agree. That is my agreement too, that it could have been its own thing. This was not a Child's Play franchise, but that's just like the new Puppet Master. Other than the fact that they brought in the name Andre Toulon, there was nothing connecting it to the old stories.
No, not at all.
And to me, that was where they went right with it, because there are so many times they reboot something and they literally just try to stick different actors in it and add elements to be like, oh, well, we did something different by stealing somebody else's idea. Rob Zombie's Halloween being a great example. I loved it. But all he literally did was steal the first opening scene, add Michael Myers going crazy in the asylum, and then take the rest of the old movie and redo it.
Yep.
And but that middle scene is what made it to me. And so for them to take this and be like, okay, this is a modern Chucky. This is a modern Child's Play. If this were to have happened 35 years later, this is how it went down. I liked it. Like, I liked it a lot.
Well, I liked it enough to buy the Blu-ray. So, you know, there's something there. You know, I've watched it multiple times. I don't hate it, but it just doesn't square up.
It's just not part of what you're all about, and especially as somebody who's such a huge fan of the franchise, I could see that sitting in your craw wrong. You know what I mean? Like I said, me, that's not my franchise.
Yep.
Like, I love it, but it's not mine. Like, when they redid Nightmare on Elm Street, even though it wasn't that bad, I still threw a fit.
James Earl Haley was kind of a weird pick.
James Earl Haley did a phenomenal job for the same reason Bill Skarsgård did a phenomenal Pennywise.
Okay.
He didn't try to be the Robert Englund. You know, just like Skarsgård didn't try to be Tim Curry. He tried to do a new version of it. That being said, the reboot of Nightmare was written too close. So for them to not have him try, like, you tried to do too much.
Yeah. Sometimes simplicity is all it takes, which is why, you know, movies like Curse of Chucky, Into Cult of Chucky have resurrected the icon himself. So,
right.
You know,
you could see that being a Broadway play.
Well, the premises were so simple that they made him that, you know, now he has a TV show that's the #4 most popular TV show on TV right now.
Yeah, and it could steal #1 if it keeps going the way it's going.
Right.
Like, I'm with you on the show. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm in. All in.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Go ahead and watch it. But hey, this has been your Chucky retrospective. We went through all the movies, mansplained the hell out of them to you.
Please stop using that word.
No, that's exactly what we did.
Do you want to grab a chick next week? Like, just so that way I won't let you use that word? Like, I know some women that like us enough that'll do the show.
Well, why don't you tell us what we're doing next week, Mr. Lunchbox?
Next week, continuing in the spirit of Halloween, first of all, this part's brand new. I'm going to challenge Brandon to show up in costume next week, even though he did it this week.
Oh, that's not my costume.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have to be that costume. I'm not showing up in my actual Halloween costume. I'll bring one out for the show. But anyway, next week we are doing a Monster Rumble where we're gonna, and we'll bring this to the chat too to have some more crowd participation. Let's talk about monster fights. Let's talk about our favorite horror icons battling to the death or the undeath, as it were. And let's also talk about ideas that either should have happened, or how about ideas that did happen that shouldn't? Because you know what? Fuck it, it's Halloween, and we're your bros to talk about you with all your shows. God damn, dude, this episode went so much longer than I expected.
That's okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brandon the Boss Blacker. Thank you for tuning in to episode 131 of Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box, where we just went through all of the Child's Play franchise and everything Chucky for 2+ hours for your entertainment. Now, tune in next week where we do monster battles and other things that Lunchbox just said. You can find me on Instagram at The Real Brandon Blacker. Go find my band Suburban Paranoia everywhere on social media and the interwebs. And yeah, all that good stuff. Lunchbox, where you be?
Actually, you know, as always, never worry about where I be. Worry about this show, which you can find on Talking Shop with the Boston Box on Facebook. Don't forget to join the Talking Shop with the Boston Box Facebook discussion group, where we bullshit about all the bullshit that you want to bullshit about all day, every day long. You can find us at Talking Shop with the Boston Box on Instagram, and you can find our channel at Talking Shop with the Boston Box on YouTube, where we have all sorts of bullshit, including all 131 episodes. We're available on Spotify, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, Apple Music, and wherever you find your podcast. But most importantly, you can join us here every single Monday night for the foreseeable future, right here live on Facebook and YouTube at Talking Shop with the Boss in the Box, or on Twitch at Devastated Media every Monday night at 8 p.m. live in your living rooms, bedrooms, bathrooms, or wherever you are hanging out watching us on your mobile devices.
That's right. So tune in next week. And you got any last words?
More Halloween shit.
That's right. I am the boss, he is the box, and we are your friends to the end. Good night, everybody. We will see you next Monday.
Heidi ho, motherfuckers.